G'day everyone, welcome to Breakout Wednesday for the 1st of May 2024. It's currently about 9 p.m. on the West Coast, 11 p.m. on the East Coast. First of all, remember this is never financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is simply a video blog on how one trader sees a market, and everyone needs to take responsibility for their own decisions. Okay, I missed last week. I apologize for that. I can't even remember last week. It was a long time ago. So now let's just get into it. The All Ords had a down day today. It's kind of had a little bit of a correction. It's been grinding sideways the last kind of 7-8 days, and I don't know what the market's going to do. No one does, but I do know that the stock market goes down a lot, and I know it goes up more often than it goes down. But when it goes down pretty aggressively and quickly. And I don't think there's anyone smart enough to tell you where the market's going to be a month from now. Okay, and I think it's fruitless to kind of guess and to try and forecast all that shit. I just do what I do, and I focus on the setups. I focus on the relative strength, and if the market's dumping, like truly dumping, I focus on picking up more of my favorite ETFs and stocks in my long-term investment account. I think that when you embrace that mindset that the market's always going to go down and up, and no one has a bloody clue what's going on, then it kind of frees your mind, and you're no longer waking up shitting yourself. Did the Dow, did the NASDAQ fall, crashed last night? I don't give a shit what the market did last night in the US, okay? Because, I've accepted it, and I'm all cool with it. If it's gone down a lot, great, I get some bargains, okay? If it goes up, great, some of my trades might be triggered, okay? And so that's the way I kind of view it. Now, I've been talking about a bunch of stocks lately, just quickly. The insurance stocks, okay, I haven't talked about them in a while. Suncorp IG, like Suncorp's just still cruising here above all its key moving averages, and I'm still long, okay. IAG, okay, not quite as strong as Sun, but yeah, kind of pretty similar, but they're slow moving, right? What were some other ones? NXS from 2 weeks ago had a really nice breakout. I managed to get a decent, about half off, up here, and then the rest I took a small loss on. So overall, a small win, but, this is the market we're in right now. The market's correcting, and I talked about this, 2 weeks ago that, wasn't going to give that much wiggle room. If it started, falling back into the base, cut the shit out of it, right? And obviously I wasn't the only one doing that, and we had a big down day. So that is trading. Now, the other one, kind of frustrating is CWY. I got stopped out, and then, had all this junk happen. So that's a shame, but that's life. And, what has been working well is the uranium names, okay? And, the Bannerman's Bang, okay? And just, I don't, for those who listen every week or whenever I put them out, when I've been talking about Bannerman, how I got out half here, and then the rest I was given a super wide stop, and I was going to let the other half turn into a loss, okay, which it did for a little bit here, and then it's rebounded. And I just think that to stick with major trends takes a huge amount of patience and wiggle room, and you've got to be willing to give back paper profits. And that's why the money ain't real until it's in your bank account. It's all bullshit until you've actually sold it and you see those dollar signs in your account, and it's realized, not unrealized, right? And so, this could gap down 20% tomorrow. I don't know, but the uranium names are certainly stacking up. Now, just before I get into some scans and some new stocks, the other stuff if we are having a market correction, I see as an opportunity to pick up some more of my favorite stocks and ETFs if I can afford it and if I have the spare cash. It might involve selling something, raising cash to move into those, or maybe I just would happen to have some cash lying around, and boom, I move it in, right? It just depends. And so I've talked about them a lot, but ResMed has actually been rallying a lot, and so it isn't dipping, but holy shit, okay. I mean, this is just I've talked about this way too much over the years, but this dumped all the technical analysis people in the world would have been selling the shit out of ResMed, okay. But I've just been in it for so long, and to me, this is just the sort of company that I want to own for the next 20 years. Okay, it very rarely disappoints, and I just think that buying it on dips is just for me, it's just a no-brainer. I'm gonna keep doing it. Okay, what are some of my other favorite stocks? Okay, if I get a huge discount, then I would add to it. Xero, I still think it's one of the best companies on the ASX. You know, if you've got a small business, medium-sized business, I bet you use zero. Unless you've had that business for that long that you're still using MYOB, but aren't many of you around. I bet you most of you have switched to zero by now. And it's a fantastic business that's, you know, turning profitable and, you know, expanding to the US, all that sort of stuff. But, you know, I don't know if for me to add to zero, I'd want a real dump, you know, just a nice undercut of that 200-day moving average like it did here. So we'll see if I get that. Another one stock I like is Pepper. You know, I've talked about it a lot, but you know, if I had a nice, maybe a bit of a head and shoulders happen here, if I had a big dump back down to these lows, I would add. Okay, and that's how I kind of view corrections. I don't view them as a bad thing. I view them as an opportunity. Okay, but during that time, I'm also always analyzing every day what stocks are not going down, what stocks are setting up. And I want to show you how one way I've kind of figured that out, right? So let's just go into indicators and events. Now let's just first of all scan for any stock above the 50 exponential moving average, all right? Let's get rid of everything else except for the filters. Let's just scan. I'm just going to scan something that, watch this, I've already got here to just save everyone time, okay? And I've just put, you know, 500,000 shares. Like if it's not doing at least 500,000 shares, you know, today, then I don't want to know about it, okay? And now, you know, and so this, first of all, will find, if you do this scan on the whole ASX, it's going to find a shitload of stocks, right? Because the market hasn't been going down for that long. But then, you know, what I will do is then go into that same thing and filter it down, okay? So I will go in, press, get rid of this, okay? And then I will press within 5% of the last 50 period highs. So not only does it need to be above that 50 exponential moving average, it also needs to be within 5% of the last 50 period highs. Okay, then I will go in, scan the results, scan my most recent result, okay, do that scan, and it will trim that down even further, all right? So I've just got some pre-made results there that I'm going to run through. So 29M, okay, there's certain mining stocks which just not dumping with the market, okay? I'm going to run through most of them right now, okay? 29M isn't, and it's forming this kind of bottoming base, right? It's been punished since listing, okay? Remember when this listed, you know, and it's just, you know, whatever this IPO price was, $2 something, okay, rallied up to $3 something. It's really been going down the gurgler ever since. And now we're, you know, maybe putting into bottom action. So massive volume coming in around this bottom, nice big rally, okay, high lows, and holding up there. So potentially putting in a nice kind of base there for a breakout and watching that to just form a really tight right-hand side and just curl around, little volume, and then hopefully give me a VCP and break out. So I'll follow that up another week and see if it plans out. AKM, right? You know, and this is, you know, less liquid, but obviously it's had a big run. It's in the metals mine and steel game, and absolute kind of blue sky above it. And you know, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 period, you know, weak base. It's pretty wild and loose, okay, and certainly wouldn't be wanting to put, you know, my whole account into it, okay, but you know, the market went down big today and this went up. It's got huge resistance up here. This is the kind of stuff that I'm looking at to take really kind of educated bets on, okay. Now, next one, BGA. Well, BGA, right, everyone's probably heard of Bega, and so what I like about this setup is it's in an uptrend, kind of showing relative strength, and it's forming a VCP kind of, you know, below this resistance line here, okay. And so I view that to me as just entering a stock that's already going up, and you know, I've talked about kind of food stocks a fair bit recently, and I'm going to talk about one or two others tonight, but you know, they really are, like, there's a lot of food stocks out there showing up and kind of setting up. Have been for weeks and months now, actually, okay. Let's move on. Q, right, you know, the stock's been around for a long time. You know, this wasn't a takeover, you know, announcement here on the 26th. I believe this was an announcement of earnings, like pretty good earnings and a special divvy from memory. It was a few weeks ago I read about that, but I'm pretty sure it was earnings and special divvy that it caused that to gap up. And Now we've just got massive resistance here, and you know, it's kind of like one of these ones with a wide spread, right? The 115 is the resistance. You know, to get filled on that would be 1-2. Like, I'm too much of a tight ass to pay 1-2 for that. So, you know, personally, you know, I probably have an alarm set, and if it breaks above that, then I'll look at, you know, the order book and maybe put an order in at 115 and see if I get filled, if I like the looks of it. But if I miss it and it runs off, I'm just not going to lose any sleep over that. You know, it's just it's a cheap little shitty thing, and you know, I'm just not going to, you know, worry too much. If I get the opportunity, I'll take it. If not, not. Now, ILU, I just want to talk a little bit about some of these stocks that are kind of correlated in many ways, right? I've talked about 29M, and ILU is the next that's come up in the scan, and it's put in some serious sideways action here, and now has, you know, some pretty obvious resistance. Okay, all the moving averages are starting to come together. It's pretty, you know, clear signs of a bottom. If you look kind of at it, there's also signs of flushing out down here, and just, you know, testing these lows and getting back above them, and just kind of what tech was doing, right? You know, whenever that was, and 14, 15, 16 months ago that I was talking about. And I've been talking a lot the last month or two about a lot of these resource stocks which are doing the same. You know, if you want to get fancy, you can start drawing arcs down here and having a look at this as one whole kind of source of bottom or whatever. But let's just clean this up because that's messy as hell. Right, and the fact is, like, this has just gone down a lot, and it's bottoming and putting in a bottoming base. And if it can break out of that base, it might be a good indication that a new uptrend started. Okay, and it's not just ILU. I've talked about PLS a bit, you know, and I've got 2 positions on that now. I got one, I think it was like 3.5 something, and then another one, shit, maybe I forget actually. It was 3.8 something. I don't know where in the 3.8s. And then, you know, and this is just, this is a long-term hold for me. Okay, if this did fail and dump down there, I'm probably just going to hold it and get more. I just think that the risk reward is nuts, and I like, you know, there's so much I like about the technicals and the fundamentals, but the fact is, it's like, I know the businesses aren't exactly the same before I get some smart ass comment, right? But they're correlated if you go back and study the charts, right? I use correlated to PLS, and it's correlated to, you know, a few other stocks I'm about to talk about, right? So let's just go, I'm just going to skip ahead. Let's just go to LYC, okay? Obviously, okay, this is a rare metal stock. You know, the workers are all out, kind of Kalgoorlie way, I believe, out that in WA, and this stock's been going down since, you know, that, you know, late 21 high, I think, you know, early 22 actually in this one, and been getting hammered, but it's been putting in bottom in action. I've been trying to kind of, you know, figure out a bottom in it, and it's just now, you know, it's still got massive resistance here, but it really, you know, is starting to show signs of a bottom. Okay, the other one, before I move on, is MIN. Okay, and MIN came up in the scan too, I believe. Did it? Shit, I think it did. Yeah, it did down here. And, you know, that's showing relative strength too. Okay, the All Ords is getting hammered. MIN went up today. But the fact is, MIN, you know, PLS, I know they've all got different businesses, but they are a bit correlated. And if I start taking trades in LYC, you know, investments in LYC, ILU, MIN, you know, I've kind of just doubled up. They're kind of like the same trade, and I've got one big, heavy correlated trade, right? So the way I'm playing it right now is I've got a decent, you know, I've pyramided into PLS. And I'm putting my eggs in that basket. Right or wrong, I don't know. I mean, time will tell. Okay. Now, so that there are some of the setups right now. Okay, in that sector with those mining stocks. I just want to quickly, where am I? Go back into some stuff I probably missed. There's another food stock, ING. I've already talked about BGA, but ING is another that's just kind of forming this little bottom. It's come down, test this 200-day, and it's potentially breaking out of that, all right? Thought that was interesting. NYSE I've talked about, let's move on. MIM I've talked about, let's move on, okay? And so that is what's happening in the market in terms of what's strong, and obviously the uranium names, which I've already talked about earlier. Now, just one other quick scan that I like doing is just always looking for bases. Sorry, I'm just going to go... to save some time. And you know, BGA comes up there as well, and I stuffed up, but also FLC is coming up. Okay, there's a lot of bases coming up in that bit. 1 second, guys. There it is. I forgot to save it earlier. Let's just find it now. FLC, there we go. So FLC is coming up in this Frank Davis box, right? You know, I've been doing a lot of research on this stock. It's got some pretty big hitter investors which have hopped on board lately. Obviously, it's been a complete fail since it, you know, IPO'd. And unlike most stocks from the IPO, it's all kind of fairy dust that people get sold. And you know, all the early kind of people that got in, you know, 10 years before the IPO would just bail in and just hearing that cash register ring and running off to Vegas and, you know, having a party, right? And kind of the newish mum and dad investors are getting bent over, and that's kind of the way the market works. It's harsh, it's cruel, but that's just what happens. And FLC is no exception. It's like, but it's been based in this big box, cruising sideways. Its economics are, you know, starting to turn up, and you know, I just, you know, I'm not necessarily going to hop on this one. I just think it's interesting. I think that, like, the risk reward on it's decent. I think it's going to take some patience because there's a lot of overhead supply, a shitload of overhead supply. I mean, a lot of pissed off people who are waiting for this to get back here or here or here, and then they're going to be dumping the shit out of it. Okay, so now before I nick off, there's this, you know, I've listened to this a bunch over the years. I'm going to put it in the show notes below, in the YouTube comments. But, you know, and this contradicts like a lot of technical analysis people who, you know, think that they can time the market and stuff. And it's a caveat, you know, because I love my technical trading, you know. I love timing stuff and trading because I can compound my account quickly and I can grow. But it is a bit of work, right? You really need to be committed. You know, if you're not committed, you're just going to lose, you know. But if you are committed, you know, you can really change your life and manage your money really, really, really well, better than anyone else. And it could just be one of the most rewarding things you ever do. But I also love the long-term investing stuff. This is a really great lecture. This guy's super funny. He's my favorite long-term investor. He's got a great sense of humor on him. It's all, you know, and he just talks total sense. Okay, in terms of, I'm just talking about long-term stuff for self-managed super funds, stuff for my kids, you know, stuff that I want to own for 40, 50, 60 years. And I'm going to bring out a talk just along this line, just for some fun, about kind of my favorite ETFs. I had an email today from Gish, who kind of put in a request for it. I'm going to do it, but I'm going to publish it in the Protrader's membership area when it launches. Okay, I'm not going to put it on YouTube. I'm going to start putting, you know, I'm still going to bring out the Breakout Wednesday here, but a lot of extra content I'm going to start putting in that members area, guys, because I never really set out to do this for everyone on YouTube. I just, you know, it's not really, you know, I think I'm just going to dedicate myself a bit more to that once it launches. You know, so if you're not a member yet, just you know, sign up, guys, when the time comes. If you enjoy the content, have fun, and you know, I think I'll put a lot more energy into that members area once it gets launched. But check this video out. You have a good laugh. You need an hour, but you know, it'll be good times. I promise you. Take care. Cheers.